Well, this is still just weird. Unlike every other year in my conscious memory, it's Kol Nidrei, and like you, I'm sitting at home. We're all used to it by now, but still, how to make a holiday filled with traditions feel special when I didn't follow most of them. I didn't rush to get a pre-fast dinner on the table so we could leave for shul before 6 p.m. Didn't put manna bags by the door to take in the morning. Didn't fix a dish to bring for a potluck break the fast. It's hard to rise above the mundane without the essence of what makes a holiday meaningful, which to me is in large part getting together with others. I won't pretend that this Zoom service is as good as when we can meet each other in person. It isn't. But when I scroll through Zoom pages and see your faces, I do feel your presence. So what could I possibly say to you tonight that would be inspiring, comforting, helpful, or hopeful, since I believe that's what we all need right now? So much is discouraging and deeply problematic. For my personal mental health, I limit my news intake daily, but all manner of news, important and completely irrelevant, worms its way into my head anyway. We're all assaulted by the all too familiar crises that barely need listing. Climate change, racism, anti-Semitism, the pandemic. You do the acronym. We pray that the November elections will be free and fair and have a good outcome. Everyone is more stressed. People are on edge. Tempers flare easily. And in the midst of all this turmoil, the world feels flat. And not the way Tom Friedman describes it, but flat, like the children's book, Flat Stanley. People seem to exist mostly from the waist up, electronic two-dimensional images in a Zoom box. We've become avatars, pixelated versions of ourselves. Personally, I need more conversations that run no risk of the other person freezing in the middle of a sentence. So I look to these high holy days more than ever as a time to reset. It's hard to hold anger and gratitude at the same time. So I make a point to remind myself consciously to flip towards counting my blessings. I try to do so daily, sometimes even out loud to my husband or kids or friends or even my dog. Blessing number one, I'm healthy. Most of my friends and family are mostly healthy. Blessing number two, my children have grown, so I escape the added pressure of having to homeschool or take care of little ones while trying to work. Blessing number three, I still have a job and an occupation that I love and believe I make a difference in the lives of my patients, most of whom came to me suffering with anxiety, isolation, or depression that's only ramped up under the strains of this pandemic. So I stay connected to them and try to help them see where they're not helpless. Challenge them to exercise their power in areas that are within their realm and find comfort in distinguishing what is real and addressable rather than drown in endless worries of what could be. We all feel better when we recognize things in people that are important in our lives. That's what gives us connection and purpose. So another part of the Yom Kippur reset is reevaluating what is really important. Missing a manicure or not going to a movie with friends seemed like a frustrating, albeit first world deprivation not so long ago, but we've adapted to the new normal. We've been forced to adjust and seek ways to rebalance without many of the activities that were a regular part of our lives. My adaptations? I'm on a roll. I'm on day 148 of 5-minute Spanish lessons on Duolingo. And in lieu of going to the gym a few times a week, I've been walking outside for the past 137 days in a row, closing all 3 of my activity rings on my Apple Watch every day. Okay. So they're not monumental challenges, but sticking to them reminds me of my tenacity and gives me a sense of control and accomplishment. It makes me feel better, and we all need that now more than ever. There's something inherently grounding about paying attention to what we really need and what really feeds us rather than focusing on the busyness that often feeds our lives. Reevaluating what is important is part of the reset that the High Holy Days means to me. I love Yom Kippur, fasting and all, because it's a day of sanctioned vulnerability, where we go inside individually while we sit with others. We contemplate and reflect on our transgressions, on our mistakes and our foibles, and we admit them and ask for forgiveness. It's cleansing, making peace with God, with friends and family. Ultimately, it means making peace with ourselves. To atone means to be at one. Yom Kippur, it's fundamentally different from the story of most other Jewish holidays, which, if you want to sum it up Michael Pollan style, is they tried to kill us, we survived, let's eat. But this day is essentially different. This one I sum up as, who am I? Am I okay with that? And what do we need to change? Everyone tuning in tonight is here because Yom Kippur or because Kol Shalom means something special to each of us. Some of you are among my closest friends. Many of you are people whose homes I've visited for a celebration or for Shiva, and who likewise celebrated or comforted our family when we've lost loved ones. Most of you I know at least by sight or name, and you me. And there are among us tonight visitors, extended family, friends of friends, or people who've just found us by happening onto our website. But to me, Yom Kippur is deeply personal and deeply communal. And so I personally welcome each one of you in our community tonight. Because so many attend Kol Nidrei service, the tradition over the years in our shul has been for the congregation president to deliver something like a State of the Shul address. Back in 2008, Eileen Cohen gave an unusually prescient talk about hand sanitizer and the slogan, "Clean hands save lives." Who knew? I don't actually remember the rest of the speech, but I never forgot the hand sanitizer. I doubt that this talk will be nearly as memorable, but I can sum it up to say that historically, the past presidents speak about three main things. First, they highlight the best of our programming from the past year and key plans for the coming year. Second, they tell you what a special and dynamic community we are, and we are. And finally, they present the difficult financial situation that we, like most synagogues, continuously find ourselves in and still are in. They remind everyone of the responsibility to support the shul, to give generously to Kol Atid campaign, because we depend on our annual giving as much as on our dues, to keep the lights on, to educate our kids, and to pay for our very small but very mighty staff of professionals. They say some version of that every year, and I should say all that too, because it's all true. But this year is so different. This year, the thanks can't be perfunctory in any way. Our professionals are passionately creative and energetic Rabbi Steinloff, our super mega conscientious and hardworking Deb, my dear friend Sally, who's our musical inspiration and the purveyor of endless good cheer, Mindy, our education director and co-creator of Possibilities at the new combined religious school that we formed with Shari Torah, and our webmaster and everything else Guy Shy. They all deserve our deepest appreciation. They have done something truly remarkable. We could have faded away during this pandemic, but we haven't. They have held us. They have provided the structure and the energy to carry us into a virtual world where we remain a cohesive community in spite of the fact that we've only met in person once since March, briefly outside, to hear Daron and his daughter Shar blow the shofar on the roof to herald in these high holy days. We thrive as a community of doers, of people eager to participate and give back, and have carved out niches for ourselves that taken together make our little Anatevka very special. We've come to depend on people like Mary, who quietly organize who does what every Shabbat, or Andrea, who angelically leads Psukei de Zimra before most people even tune in, or Phyllis, who's personally welcomed so many into our community, and each and every one of the learned and devoted members and lay leaders who continue to step up week after week to partake in services and communal activities. We zoom in not just to hear Rabbi Steinloff's very inspiring charge to duty sermons, but also to watch Sheila dance in her seat while davening, to appreciate seeing Rebecca dress in black with a white doily at Rosh Hashanah in memory of RBG, to hear the wisdom from our own experts like Tom and Dennis and Danny and Michael and Alan and others, not just because we're hungry for the information, but because we have a sense of tribal pride and trust in the familiar face of the person who's delivering that information. And this last small example of how far we've come to adapt and thrive blows my mind every time I think of it. Almost every Shabbat, Jewish people are regularly sponsoring virtual Kiddush with no food. I mean, it's amazing and wonderful. We are a remarkable, traditional, conservadox, liberal, egalitarian, laid back, showing up kind of shul with an ingrained culture of giving, and one that I am deeply proud and grateful to be part of. So tonight, there will be no plea to those of you who haven't yet done the mantle of responsibility to give to our Cold Tea campaign, even though I have made it my distinctly unsexy goal that during my term we achieve a balanced budget so we don't have to pull on a line of credit anymore to make it through the fiscal year. I will not suggest for those of us who are in the very fortunate position to have some unexpected extra shekels in the bank because we're doing so much less, where to direct some of that surplus. No, I won't do that. Nor will I even make a membership pitch for those of you who are just visiting to consider joining this wonderful group of people. Nope, just not going there. Instead, I will thank you, each and all, for all that you do to enrich the community financially, spiritually, intellectually, musically, with your knowledge and humor and talent and goodwill, and for letting so much energy flow in our direction. Because we have a good thing going here, and it is precious. And I count you among my blessings. 40 years ago, I was horrified seeing the pictures of Mount St. Helens when it erupted and turned to ash. But today it's green again. A better normal will come again. The word will continue to spin. I believe this to be true, and no one who knows me considers me an optimist. So I will follow up after the holidays about our annual giving, but not tonight. For tonight, David and I wish our warmest wishes for a healthy and fulfilling new year, and Gmar Chatima Tova.